Alright, quickly let's ease into a little video about Donald Drumpf and his grim prediction for the stock market and economy of the United States of America.
What I said is we're going to go into a massive recession, but I also say if I'm president, that's not going to happen because I'm going to straighten things out before it happens.
Which is the most powerful economic force in the world, also the most stable and the most resilient. In addition, we have made many stock market predictions and videos over the last decade or so with nearly 100% predictive results. About 99 actually, nailing it literally to almost the day in some instances when the market would hit certain levels. For instance, one of our predictions was that then Senator Barack Obama would be president. We predicted he would become the president. Once he became the president, we did a series of not only headlines for our channel page, but also videos that showed our predictions for the stock market, which have been extraordinarily accurate, having predicted that in Barack Obama's final year in office, which we're in now, the market would settle somewhere between 17 and 18,000. We may be a little bit off on that one. It may end up settling between 18,000 and 19,000, just a little bit higher than where we saw it going. Very strong market. Whenever Donald Drumpf emphatically states anything about money or finances or the economy, it can all be disregarded entirely. In fact, most of what can be assumed is that is the polar opposite of what business failure Drumpf has stated. When Drumpf makes emphatic statements like that too, it signals some other things that are going on. He was fired from NBC for that crappy show The Apprentice, that garbage reality show that idiot was on. Basically, he was a honey boo-boo on TV. That's where his revenue comes from, most of it, at the time. He's a business failure who, when he touches anything, it turns to shit, just like you're seeing with his presidential aspirations. No matter what, given the opportunity, Drumpf always sinks himself. He is a self-deflating chair. You sit in it, hoping to get support, and it collapses, leaving you on your ass. That's what happens to the business investors in his shitty companies. They all collapse. So what it sounds like is when Drumpf is making these dire economic predictions, sounds like the petitions against him are working. He's being cut off from a lot of revenue sources. He's so vile and disgusting, people are severing their business relationships with him. So again, by way of running for president, which he'll never be under any circumstances, simply won't happen, he's severing all of his business relationships too. So this will be one more thing, just like his 4 bankruptcies, that goes bad. So Drumpf is feeling the weight of his own poor business acumen once again. He's in a dark place financially and economically. Since it's so deep and dark, he can't see out of that black hole of debt, which is really what his life is. Borrowing, failing, borrowing, failing, borrowing, failing, borrowing, failing, over and over. 4 bankruptcies, dozens of collapsed companies, leaving a wake of debt behind him, gigantic debt. That's what Donald Drumpf does. He creates debt. Valleys of it, sinkholes of it, inescapable ones that have to be bailed out by consecutive bankruptcies. 4 bankruptcies. So now what it sounds like is he's on the verge of bankruptcy number 5. It won't be long in coming, and it will be shortly after he fails at this little escapade of running for president, which is a complete and utter joke. He's the least qualified person to ever run for it, period. So considering the economic environment now, we see a very strong environment of good stock market, and one to certainly invest in if you're an American. Absolutely no question about it. Different sectors of the market behave differently than others, even though the Dow or the NASDAQ, any of the markets may drop. That doesn't mean that the stocks within those markets will drop. For instance, an oil stock or an energy stock may drop when tech stocks rise. There's a lot of variance in there, a lot of dynamics, depends on the particular company that you're investing in. You should keep track of what they're doing. If they manufacture, you might want to keep track of how much they're manufacturing and shipping, what their labor costs are, what their earnings ratios are, things like that matter intensely when you're investing your own money. But in simplest terms, Drumpf couldn't be more wrong. He's a complete idiot. Whatever he does, do the opposite. He's a failure. You don't want to follow a failure. We are on the identical page as Warren Buffett. He's a very nice man. We've met him. Sharp as a tack. Drumpf, dumb as a stump. Warren Buffett said just a couple of weeks ago, anyone who doesn't think this is a strong economy doesn't know what they're talking about. That's an actual billionaire, about 67 billion. Drumpf claims to have 11 billion, but really what he's doing is totaling up the assets that are bankrupt, literally assigning a positive value to 4 companies that are bankrupt. If the guy's so rich, so loaded, why isn't he funding his own campaign? He's taking everyone else's money. He's literally thriving on free media because he can't afford to spend his own money on it. Drumpf won't even release his taxes. He's such a proud billionaire. Why not reveal the taxes? Apparently there's some problem there, and it's not from the IRS. The IRS has already gone ahead and made a statement, which is absolutely true, undeniably, that there is no rule, regulation, or law that prohibits a private citizen from revealing their taxes to anyone. So Drumpf is hiding them. Is he manufacturing some in the background, making up some fake figures? Who knows what this guy is doing? He's a fraud through and through. There is nothing real about Drumpf, from his fake rat head hair on his head to the bottom of his dirty feet. Drumpf's business failures are colossal. The guy collapsed a casino. The casino, the house always wins. The house always wins, every single time, unless you're Drumpf. The guy's got such a brown finger, every single thing he touches turns to shit. Drumpf said the economy is very bad, it's coming, a big recession is coming, and he can straighten it out before it happens.
What I said is we're going to go into a massive recession, but I also say if I'm president, that's not going to happen, because I'm going to straighten things out before it happens.
Really? Why didn't he straighten out his 4 bankruptcies before they happened? Apparently he didn't have that knowledge the first time. The second time. The third time. And the 4th time. So apparently he couldn't rescue any of those companies, but he's suddenly going to rescue an America that now has a #1 auto industry because our president Barack Obama saved it, whereas his opponent, Mitt Romney, said, let Detroit go bankrupt. We are now #1 in the auto industry. Thank you again, Barack Obama. One more massive accomplishment, along with the many. And why the hell is Drumpf's spouse, Melanoma, out of the hospital? She's wearing her gown, she's up at a podium all glassy-eyed reading some Drumpf-authored, ridiculous, self-promotional piece. She's all drugged up there, looked like she's got off the gurney before surgery there. Wearing her gown, what the hell is that? What a freak show. Drumpf and his hospital rescue here. Now, what about Drumpf's financial aptitude, or lack thereof? Drumpf is always bragging. His big mouth is always running about his financial acumen and expertise when the guy has done nothing but collapse business after business. Now he's talking about finances in major markets and what's going to happen in terms of recessions and poor behavior market-wise. It's absolutely idiotic. The guy doesn't know a thing about anything. So now he's making these ridiculous predictions. This is exactly the opposite of just prior to the mortgage fallout, the mortgage crisis, when drumpf started drumpf mortgage. So in 2006, drumpf opens his nothing better, no better time to open one. All this bullshit you can hear. Well, this idiot made the most remarkably stupid comments about the shitty company he started right at the worst possible time in history. So drumpf starts his drumpf mortgage company, which bails. Thing was around for maybe a few months. The guy hired some schmuck who he said is the perfect candidate. Perfect candidate who had a 6 days previous experience on Wall Street as a lower level trader. Yeah, drumpf really knows how to pick him. Maybe he'll nominate that idiot for the Supreme Court. So drumpf's mortgage company collapsed, leaving another gigantic wake of debt. All this guy can do is bankrupt companies, collapse companies, and go on TV like Honey Boo Boo. And again, why don't we see drumpf's taxes? If he's so proud of his billionaire status, this highly successful, brilliant ideas and these sophisticated plans to make money and these incredible ideas and these just amazing, massive nettings of just solid cash. That's all he talks about. Money, money, money. Well, why doesn't he put his alleged money where his mouth is? We can see his big mouth running all the time, but until those taxes are presented, you've got nothing. Just a big mouth that talks shit continuously and never says a word that's connected to reality. Just absolute gibberish. The least electable person of all time on the planet. There are caves that wouldn't elect this guy as the woodpicker. He's a fool. Look at this idiot. Drumpf has finally revealed his plan to take out ISIS. He is going to manage their finances. We pretty much have narrowed down what drumpf is. Really, what drumpf is a virus. A virus in the collective brain of the GOP anti-American terrorist religious cult. And what drumpf is doing is their worst nightmare. Drumpf is forcing the GOP cult to denounce their own ideology. He has presented the most disgusting caricature of themselves. He is presenting to America all of their ideologies in the most despicable package imaginable. And they've got a sliver of Americans, the most racist, disgusting, stupid, unbelievably vicious, hateful, sick, bigoted scum you could possibly imagine, trying to get this racist lowlife and failure into our White House, which is a symbol of American unity and our values, which are to be accepting and tolerant and welcoming, not building walls, banning Muslims, and bombing people's oil in other countries and stealing it, while murdering innocent families of despicable terrorists. Since drumpf wants to kill the families of terrorists to inhibit the spread and growth of terrorism, that would mean that all American terrorists would have to be dealt with the same way. So that would mean Tim McVeigh's family. And this is just an example. Tim McVeigh was a right-wing Christian who murdered hundreds of Americans, 168 Americans, 19 of whom were little children. This is a Christian, pro-life. Yeah, they're all pro-life. That's why they're for guns, wars, and the death penalty. They're just pro-life when it comes to punishing women. But this is a perfect example because, yes, Tim McVeigh was an anti-American, vile terrorist piece of shit. But his family is just an American family. They didn't have his beliefs. They didn't support it. By drumpf's rule, we would just take him out. Drumpf would torture him a bit, maybe punish some of the women in the family, and then have them all murdered. That would be drumpf's way. Well, thank goodness it'll be a Democratic president, and we can all sleep better at night knowing that we're safe and comfortable without a dictating failure like drumpf to collapse our country and destroy our integrity worldwide.